Morning all, welcome to What a Loadable episode 5. Haven't been doing anything on the car or any videos since the auto test. Actually been really unwell. No way that I can do any heavy lifting or wrenching at the moment. I've been off work and I'm bouncing around the house at the moment, so I think I'm fit enough to fit an ECU. Now, I was going to save this ECU. I wanted to do a bit of an A/B on a dyno just to see pros and cons and stuff. I'm not expecting any power gains from it. All of my boost control is actually done via Innovate, not done by the stock ECU as it is. Main reason I'm fitting this for drivability. It's meant to be a lot better in the lower rev range. And it also has the speed limiter removed. So a lot of JDM cars have like a 100-mile-an-hour speed limit, which is obviously no good if you're drag racing or going to dyno or anything. So going to get this in, and I also need to get a RPM signal to feed the Innovate. So the Innovate is the SCCG1. I'll show you that when we're in the car. At the moment it's just doing boost control, so it's got a map sensor and the solenoid. After I've fitted a new exhaust I've got, which I'll talk about in a minute, then it'll be doing wideband as well. So I've actually got, you'll see my frustration of not being able to work on the car at the moment. I've actually got piles of stuff ready to go. This isn't even all of it, but this is what's collected in one space. So got the ITSROM. I'll talk more about that in a minute. I'll just show you all these other goodies. So got some 19-inch rays on some Michelin Pilot Sports, which I got as an absolute bargain on eBay. That was a bit of an impulse buy before Christmas. I have sourced a spare OEM turbo, which I'm going to send off, looking like sending off to Australia to get hyperflowed. So that should be good. And then I've also got some M35 Stagea specific BC coilovers. Need to do a bit of arch rolling as well to fit these wheels in, but I've got the roller to do that. And this is just part of it, but it's beautiful. This is the downpipe. And I've also got custom 3-inch to go with that all the way back. That's actually a custom unit made by Gizfab over here in the UK. I'll put a link to his stuff in the description. Artist, absolute artist. He makes lots of micro stuff as well, so that's going to be exciting when we get our auto test micro, because I know that I can get loads of pimp stuff for it. So yeah, right, a little more about the ECU. It's a Hitachi ECU, and as you know, these Stageas are pretty rare. There's not many in the world. It's not like a Subaru where there's literally thousands of them. So there's not been the community or the development into cracking the ECU. Now, a few people have done it. ITSROM have done it. I believe there's some Russian tuners that have done it. No one's giving away any secrets. I got this from a friend. He sent one over to Australia and they sent back a flashed one. So this is down to be a stage 1. It's meant to improve shifting and, like I said, throttle response, lower rev range, that kind of thing. So I believe it's flashed using like ROM Raider, so where you grab a ROM, modify it and then flash it back. But as like I said, I know the process. I don't know enough about it to attempt it myself, but like I said, I'm really just fitting this one for the speed limiter and those lower rev range drivability things. So yeah, while we're in there and we're tampering with the loom, I'm going to get the RPM signal. I've already done that before for the gas ECU, so there is a cable going there already, and I think once we work out which one it is, we'll just tap into it a little bit nearer to the gauge, and away we go. Right, here goes. Right, so I'm going to start in the passenger footwell. I've already disconnected the negative to the battery, so the car is completely dead. Anytime you play with an ECU or any sort of wiring like that, you should do that. The ECU lives behind the glove box, and I have been in here a couple of times when I did the gas conversion and a few other mods. It's all quite modular. You just kind of unclip this bit of trim. We've got a Phillips in there. I think there's something, or there used to be something at the back, so you might have something there. Then we've got a couple of screws. You see? Oh. There we go, sorry. A couple of screws on the glove box, and like I said, it all kind of just comes apart. So make sure you keep your screws safe. I'm going to take this apart and then I'll show you where the ECU is. Right, that was super easy. So first thing you pull up is the door trim. Then you can kind of pull out this corner trim, which was down there, and then it's 1 Phillips here, and then 4 along the glove box, and that drops out the way. So this is the stock ECU. There's a couple of 10mm, I think, or I think we just need that one there, and then the whole sort of carrier comes down, and then we can have a look at the loom. Yeah. Right, so that's the ECU down. There was 1 10mm there, and then 1 tucked away at the back. So what I'm going to do now is disconnect it from the loom and swap it, or swap the bracket with the ITSROM ECU away from the loom, and have a look. Try and find that RPM. I did label everything at the time, but I don't think my labels are stuck, so we'll see how easy this is. I know that it's one of these. I've run a few of these lines. One's my brake cut mod, one goes to the gas ECU, and then there's a couple which newer additions there at the back, which come from the battery and supply the boost gauge and stuff. So at least in it's going to be one of those two. We'll see how we go. Right, that's the brackets all swapped over. I did one side at a time, so I made sure I got them on the right ones. These are just an 8mm socket. They're tiny little screws, and one of them was a bit rounded anyway on the old one. I'm going to label this original ECU. Good idea, because I have got another spare one of these that I have at work that I use as a prop in one of my motorsport classes. I'm going to have a delve in now and try and work out which this RPM signal is. So I think I've half worked out my existing splices. If you can see this pink and blue, that one is the brake signal from the foot pedal. So if you're doing the brake cut mod, that's the one that you intercept. So I know that that's that one because that one's cut in series, and then the other half is up there. So what I'm regretting labelling is these two. One of them is an O2 signal and one of them is an RPM signal. So I can see that one is blue with a blue with a white stripe, and then the other is looks like a mustard colour or yellow with a gold. So I'm just going to pop inside and look up some colour coding. If not, I can open up the clip of this and actually trace the wires to whichever pin it is, but I know that it's one of those, so if I can find the colour, that will make it a lot easier. Then all I got to do is go to the other end of this one, strip off a bit of the outer sheathing and interrupt the signal there, and just put in a crimp and a tap out to the boost gauge. The other thing I'm going to do, or try and do, once it's all back together, because I need to do a bit of live testing, is to get a interior light signal to the boost gauge. So I'm going to take that from the cigarette lighter, because there's like an ambient light that comes on when the headlights come on. I feed that to the Innovate, then it knows when to dim down. I think that's going to be the easiest option. So right, quick colour code check and I'll be back. Right, so I think my original plan's been thwarted. It's all coming back to me now. The splices that I pointed out, one is crank position sensor and one is an O2 sensor. I thought one was RPM. So I've actually done a bit of research. I found out that 34, as you can see there, is an RPM signal for HICUS. Now, mine's not a HICUS model, so I'm going to go and have a look, try and work out which pin 34 is, if it's there. And then I might run a fresh wire from the gauge straight to that. So yeah, watch this space. So I've jumped across to the driver's side footwell now. Now that I'm going to have to run another cable across to get this RPM tap rather than getting the splice from this end as I'd originally planned. I thought it would be a good idea to run a few cables across just for future proofing. I kind of wish I'd done that when I first started putting wires in, because I've had this lying around at the same time. So what I'll probably do is pull out one of these and then I'll use that to tap into the light for the cigarette lighter. So that will come out midway, make a bit of a T, and then I'll run all the others across to the ECU. And I'll have a look at the Innovate colour codes and try and match what goes on there, just so it's easier when I come to actually splice that in, which is all hidden up there. So a bit of future proofing, and like I said, I had this bit of cable lying around anyway. Those that know me will know that I am a hoarder. This came from an old LPG kit in a basket that I got given by the chap that I actually bought the Stagea off of. It's come in well handy for salvaging bits of cable that are already loomed up. Right, so I'm just about to run this multi-core, I guess, or this bit of sub harness that I've made from driver's side to passenger side. I faffed around a bit just trying to thread the wire through because I was being lazy about trying to find my rods, but in the end I just had to find the rods and it went straight through. So yeah. So yeah, I've got a rod gone all the way through. I'm going to put it through just to get my lengths all correct, and then somewhere along here I'm going to pull out the white, because the white's going to tee up and come up to this cigarette lighter, and then I should know well, yeah, lengths and stuff. So right, I'll put it through from the other end. It's just a test fit for now. Right, I'm on the other side now. So the reason I'm test fitting it is just because I've got a few of these lines going across and I just want them all to be the same length and nothing to be too stretched as it comes to get to the ECU. And then if I need to extend anything on the other side, I can. That's not a bother, but I'd rather get this end as good as it can be. So I'm only going to use the blue. The gauge wants a purple for RPM and blue's the nearest to that out of this bunch. I've already cut the white, so that's ready to pull through. And the cores that I'm not going to use, I'm just going to push back into the shearing and then tape it up. And then all I need to worry about is this blue one. I've got all my lengths right. I think I might try and just snip the other side and pull the white through without pulling it out and back through again. Right, that was pretty painless. So yeah, I didn't have to pull it back out. I just made a nick in the outer sheathing, pulled the white through. That can be trimmed to length. That's just going up to that one anyway. I can send that back a bit and tidy up the other side and find this pin 34. So yeah, loving Tom from the past at the moment. My labels had stayed in there. I'd put them in to the actual back of the connector so they stayed safe. Good old me. So that was the O2 and the crank position as I suspected. Looking like our pin 34, oh sorry, pin 34 is one of these in there at the back of the yellow block. So what I'm going to do, work out which one it is and then make a cut a little bit way up like I have done with the other ones, label it for a future Tom, and yeah, make my splice. So I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Right, so I wire traced it. It was the 5th one along here, so the corner of the yellow one is 30, 31, 2, 3, 4. Going on to the back side, that is purple with a white stripe and 2 silver dots, should anyone want to know. I've labelled it. I couldn't find my labeler and I'm not going to waste any time looking for it right now because it's raining. So yeah, I've labelled it and I'm going to make a cut up here and then put a crimp and do a heat shrink and tidy it up. So tools needed for the splice for the crimp. Got me my Draper Experts, which I've had for about 15 years. I'm just using some red inline butt crimps, butt connectors, but I am going to put a sleeve of heat shrink over the top of it. So not exactly mil spec, but it will do the job. So I've already cut the RPM one. I'll get it all sort of rigged up and then I'll give you a picture before I finish it. So what I've done, take these two together just for a bit of strain relief for the time being, and then I've got this bit of heat shrink to go over the top. I'm going to poke these through, get these in one end of the connector, and then get the other one up there, then other one up there, then slide the heat shrink over, and everything should be all good. Right, crimp's all good. Put a ring of tape up there. This is a bit of a strain relief on the main loom. Crimp's there, heat shrink there. About to slide it up and heat it on. It should all look pretty good. Alright, pretty pleased with that. Looks good. I realised a heat gun was probably the better thing to do, but a lighter worked fine. I'm just going to tidy these all up, put bits of tape in for strain relief where necessary, then rewrap the loom and get it all tested. Right, dead chuff with that, looking a lot tidier. Last time I was in here I couldn't find any black tape, so I'd left loads of white tape, which I think looks absolutely gross on cars, so got rid of a lot of white tape, tidied up the loom. Well, I say that, there's a little bit hidden, but I'm not too worried about that. And then our little sub harnesses are going through there, so time to get the ECU, just the clip back on, and then get it all in. Boom, back in there, looking good. I think all the little looms and sub harnesses look pretty stock, so I'm pretty pleased with that one. Next time I'll sort out that bit of white tape. I might do it now, I don't know. So yeah, just reassembly. I'm going to get everything back together. I'm fairly confident in what I've done. I might regret that in a minute. Normally I'd be suspicious, or superstitious rather, and keep everything uncovered just in case, but I think it's gone fairly straightforward. So like I said, might regret that in a minute. There is another ECU down here. That one I believe is for the transmission. There's a few other control modules, but that is that one. So I'm going to get this all back in and then jump over to the other side and hook up the other wires to the boost controller. Right, so passenger side's all buttoned up. It's all quite modular over here as well, so I think we're just going to get to... yeah, here we go, we got that one, and I think there's one on the other side. This hole pops down and we'll get to so the other side's all buttoned up. I'm just going to take this side apart now so I can get to the wires for the boost controller. Got one 12mm here. I think there might be one on the other side as well, but it does just sort of unclip. Right, we're in. So these are the ones I need for the boost controller, and should have plenty of length left there. I'm going to do white as suggested for the illumination, purple with my blue one for the RPM, and I'm going to reseal this one a bit better because that's come undone a bit. But yeah, looks like I've got enough length. It is quite busy under here. There's cabling coming through for the gas buttons. I've also got the brake cut mod, which is on this little flip switch here, and then there's also some Japanese security stuff. It is a convenient place to have some junctions and stuff. Right, RPM and light all spliced in. I've also put in, again for future proofing, like an out for the RPM. I don't know whether I'd ever need that if I go to the dyno or something, but I will insulate that a bit more. But I thought it might be useful to just tap into that while I'm doing it anyway, so I don't have to do it in the future. Didn't bother heat shrinking these. There's a few other things that aren't heat shrunk on this side, so I didn't really see the point. So I was going to wait to do the Illumination Splice, but I thought while I was here I may as well route the cable through. Looks incredibly straightforward, so I don't even need it live to do any testing. Got a lamp on the side here, and then your 12 volt for the actual cigarette lighter there. So what I'll do, I'll probably strip that back and just like I've done with the other ones, put an inline crimp in and put my illumination wire. I'm going to leave a little bit of slack because I actually want to take a tap off of this another day. I can't be bothered for my fog light because the illumination light on that is always on, and I think with this wire I can sort that, but that's another day. I don't care about fog lights right now. But all wrapped up, I did that a bit quick, sorry, I should have filmed a bit more, but we've all seen wires and crimps and stuff. I'm going to go and grab my laptop now because I'm going to have to do all the relearning stuff that we did ages ago when we did the rocker cover. So there's a few key combinations and then idle learning procedure using Nissan data scan. I'm expecting some error codes as well. This came off of another vehicle, so the ECU might have faults from the previous owner, so we'll clear them and then we'll crack on. So we're all reassembled. First thing I'm going to do is the throttle pedal off relearn. That's using the key in the ignition. You turn the key on, so the ignition on for 2 seconds and then off for 10, and then repeat on for 2, off for 10. When that's done, I'm going to do the throttle valve closed position. That's just ignition on and then off for 10. Once I've got that done, I will plug in the laptop and we'll have a look at with Nissan data scan at the ECU, and then clear any codes and then fire it up. I will have to go out for a drive and warm it up before I do the idle relearn, but I'm sure it'll be good to get us going. Right, key combos all done. Nissan data scan through a bit of a wobbly and I had to reactivate it. I think maybe I haven't used it since I changed the hard drive in this computer. I don't know, maybe. All up and running now, so let's have a quick look at self-diagnostics, see whether there's any codes. Retrieve error codes. Cool, okay, so it doesn't clear to be any codes on ECU as it is. Let's fire it up. So maybe they're not done there, maybe it's just for logging. We'll worry about that one later. Okay, so I think what we'll do, we haven't got any warning lights or anything. We'll go for a quick drive, warm it up, and then the idle learning procedure using Nissan data scan. Problem with having a low temp stat is it's really hard to get the car up to temperature. So in order to do the idle relearn, it needs to be 79 degrees, I think. So we'll go for a quick blast and we'll do that when we get back. Drive went well. First impressions of the ITSROM ECU are good. Just wanted to double check we haven't got any codes during the drive back. Right, well, I think we're good to do the idle relearn, so I'm just going to clear what's here anyway. I don't think there'll be anything on there. And then click learn. Ah, it's too cold. Even after that. Alright, had to go out for another blast. Again, really impressed still. And after that second hoon, I'm not sure what temperature we're on, but it's now done the idle volume learn, so that's cool. Next thing I'm going to do is the similar process but for the gas side of things. Whenever I do an idle relearn on petrol, I like to then do the relearn on gas as well, just so that it's all singing off the same hymn sheet, as it were. So this is the BRC gas ECU software. What it's doing is it's red injectors here are petrol, green ones are gas, so it runs a bit on petrol and then mimics it, and you can see it's just doing its changeover now, and then it'll play around with a few things. What we want is this graph to have some nice straight up and downs. I believe this is to do with emission control, so it's kind of goes idle rich, idle rich. Oh, I didn't like that. Cancelled. That's not done that before, that's not good. Let's try it again. There's that beep, it changing over. You might have heard the solenoid clunk then as well. That's looking good. Oh, that last bit wasn't so good. Go on, be happy. Hey, ended correctly. Right, I think that's about it for today. I'll probably do a video soon on the Innovate a little bit more once I've worked out the logging side of things. That's this job right here. I thought I might be able to see boost now, but RPM now, but I can't. So I don't know whether that's just a display setting or whether it's only for graphs. But we'll have a good look at that. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Give us a like, or don't if you don't want to, or if you do, that would be much appreciated. And also subscribe. You've seen the pile of parts that I've got ready to go, so there's going to be lots of videos real soon, and I'm almost healthy again, so it should be good. Thanks.